Hi guys! It is time to make something nice and warm. This sweater is easy to make and adjustable to your own size. If this is your first time watching, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you are already subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Let's begin. For this tutorial, I use a big ball of yarn. This is a 50-50 wool acrylic. And it is a number 3 yarn, but a thin number 3 yarn. I also use a 5mm crochet hook, 2 stitch markers, a tapestry needle and some scissors. If you want to add in some color, like I did, then just substitute some of the yarn with some colors of your liking. Let's begin. We start by making a foundation half double crochet. If you want to learn how to make a foundation single crochet, half double crochet or double crochet, then you can click in the link on the link in the corner or in the description box. There you find a tutorial on how to do it. I'll show you in this video how to make a foundation half double crochet. If you don't want to start with a foundation half double crochet, you can make a chain for the length you need, chain 2 extra, and then in the 3rd chain from the hook work a row of half double crochets in every chain across, and then your starting point is exactly the same. If you want to make a foundation half double crochet, follow me. Make a slip knot, slide in your hook, and then chain 3. You measure from the top of your shoulder to the length you want. So I make the front panel first, so I make 101 stitches. You can make it any length you like, so just see what you prefer. So just do what you want, make it a length you want. But keep in mind that when you make it longer, then you need more yarn. So I start with 101 stitches for the length of 62 centimeters. We make the bottom ribbing in the same time, at the same time as we work up the front panel and the back panel. So we work the ribbing is worked up at the same time as the front or the back panel. So we have a chain 3, yarn over, and then insert in the first chain. So the chain next to the knot. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 1 loop. So you make a new chain. You insert your hook in this chain in the next stitch, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on your hook to finish your first stitch. Yarn over, insert in the stitch in the chain at the bottom and the 2 loops. And if you want to see this in a little bit more detail, then you can click on the link or find it in the description box, so you know and you can learn how to make it. So yarn over, insert in the 2 loops at the bottom in the chain, pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 1, we make a new chain, yarn over, pull through 3. So repeat this foundation half double crochet until you have the length you like. For me that is 101 stitches for the front. So repeat making your foundation half double crochet until the length you like, and then I'll meet you back. My foundation half double crochet is done. I put a stitch marker in the first stitch and in the last stitch, so I know which one is my first and which one is my last. When you are at the end, you chain 1 and turn your work. The chain 1 is not a stitch. And now you see here a front loop And when you turn your stitches, you see the stitch on top. You insert, so yarn over and insert in the back loop of the first stitch. So you have here the whole stitch, so the front loop and the back loop. Insert in the back loop only. Yarn over and make a half double crochet. Mark this first stitch so you know where your first stitch is. And then repeat this 9 times, so we need to make 10. So yarn over, find the back loop of the next stitch, pick it up, and and half double crochet. Yarn over, back loop of the next stitch, half double crochet. Yarn over, back loop of the next stitch, half double crochet. Make 10 half double crochets in the back loop only. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need 5 more. Seven, 8, and 9, and 10. So this part will be your ribbing at the bottom. Now you make 1 half double crochet in every stitch across. And you can choose from here. So you can use the normal stitch, so yarn over, pick up the normal stitch, so the whole stitch, front and back loop, and then make your half double crochet. Or you can pick up the front loop here and the front loop of the stitch. So from bottom to top, pick up the front loop and the front loop from the stitch. So you have 2 loops on your hook, and then make a half double crochet. Pick up the front loop and the front loop of the stitch and make a half double crochet. This is optional, so you can use the stitch as well. So front loop and the front loop of the stitch, half double crochet. So use the stitch on top, so the place where you normally insert when you make a half double crochet, and work your way across, or do it like me and pick up the front loop and the loop on the top. And this way you get a nice flat result. Let me show you. Here you see the result of picking up only the front loops in the rows that way. So repeat making your stitches, so making half double crochets in every stitch across. When you are at the end, then chain 1, turn your work, and work your way back, and in the back rows you can use the whole stitch. So just insert in the whole stitch. So yarn over and pick up the normal stitch, and then make your half double crochet. So work your way across, chain 1, turn your work, and work your way back. Chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so always work a half double crochet in the first stitch as well. Then work your way back until you are at the last 10 stitches of row 3, and then I'll meet you back. I'm at the end of row 3, so the foundation half double crochet was row 1, then a row of half double crochet in the front 2 loops, and a last, and this is row 3, just a half double crochet in every stitch across. And now we have the last 10 stitches, and in those 10 stitches we make a half double crochet in the front loops, so only the front loops. You have the stitch at the top here, and when you turn your work you see a front loop. So we don't use the stitch but the loop just below the stitch. So yarn over, pick up that loop and half double crochet, yarn over. Here is your normal stitch and here is the loop at the front. So pick up that loop, just one loop, and make a half double crochet. Here is your next loop, half double crochet, and by making the half double crochets in this loop you see you get a ribbing on the front of your work. So repeat this to the end. And I have a stitch marker in my last stitch so I don't skip that stitch. Sometimes it is difficult to find. Like this. Then chain one, turn your work. And now you see the ribbing on the front. And for this row, for row 4, we take the yarn over and we use the back loop of the stitch. So the normal stitch, you have a front loop and a back loop, pick up the back loop. And then make a half double crochet. Repeat this all the way until you have 10 stitches. So just using the back loops so you get a nice ribbing on the front. Okay, and then when you have 10 stitches you pick up the front loop and the loop on top. So you see here the stitch and you pick up the front loop so that that is just below the stitch and the front loop of the stitch. And there you make your half double crochets. You don't have to do this. Like I mentioned before, you can use the stitches as well. But this gives a nice result. At least that's what I think. But you can do what you like. So repeat rows 3 and 4 until you have a total of 17 rows, including the foundation half double crochet. So repeat 3 and 4 until you have a total of 17 rows, and then I'll meet you back. My work is 17 rows, including the foundation row. You can make your work bigger. This is for size small to medium, but you can customize this on your own size by making this the width of the tip of your shoulder, top of your shoulder to the side of your neck. So when your sweater covers this part, when this part covers this part of your body, then you start with the next step. Write down how many rows that is for you so you can repeat that on the other side. After we make the neckline, we make this part on the other side as well to finish your sweater. Okay, we have 17 rows and I chain one, turn my work and work my way back until I have 2 stitches left. So for row 18, work your way to the other side until you have 2 stitches left. In those 2 stitches we make a half double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, pick up the first stitch, and I pick up the 2 front loops because I want it the same as the rest of the row. Yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Leave those 3 loops on your hook and yarn over again. Then pick up the last stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 5 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on your hook to finish your half double crochet 2 together. And chain 1. And this is your row 18 done. Turn your work. Now we use the normal stitches, or if you did that all the way, then you can repeat using the whole stitch. And we make in the first 2 stitches a half double crochet 2 together. So yarn over, insert in the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, leave those 3 on your hook, yarn over again, insert in the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You now have 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops on your hook to finish your half double crochet 2 together. And now you can just make half double crochets in every stitch across until your last 10 stitches, and then you make your ribbing. Mark your first stitch. So that was this one, so you know where your last 2 stitches are. Okay, you repeat rows 18 and 19, so making half double crochet 2 together at the beginning or at the end of the row, and just at the side of the ribbing just make your 10 stitches of ribbing. Repeat this until you have 10 rows. So row 18, row 19, and then 8 more until you have 27 rows. If you adjusted this part, so if you made more rows or less rows in this part to make it to fit your own body size, then you subtract 7 rows and make that amount for the decrease line, for the decrease rows. If you find it hard to measure on your own body, you can take a sweater that fits well, and then you can place it on top and see if you have enough width before you start the neckline. So that's also an option to measure the width of your shoulder part. So repeat decreasing until you have the amount of rows you want, and then I'll meet you back. I finished my 10 rows of half double crochets 2 together at the top of my sweater. Now we make the other half of our sweater. First, make 1 row of 1 half double crochet in every stitch across. So no longer a half double crochet 2 together in the last 2 stitches, but make 1 in every stitch. That is your last row. Then make your normal row until you are at the top again, and then we are going to increase. So we start making the V shape. So make 1 row of 1 half double crochet in every stitch across, and then your next row will be an increase. So I have 2 stitches left, so I make a half double crochet in this one, and then in the last one we make 2. So 1 and another one in the same stitch to increase. So now we start this part. Then chain 1, turn your work, and make to half double crochet in the first stitch again to start your next row, and then make 1 in every stitch across and make your ribbing just as you did for all the rows. Repeat, making 2 half double crochets in the top, so at the end or at the beginning of this row, until you have 10 rows again, or until this part is as wide as the part you made here. So count your rows and make as many rows on this side as well. When you finish this part, then I'll meet you back and show you how to finish the front. I finished my 10 rows of increases, and now it is time to finish my row, my last increase row, and then start with just 1 stitch in every stitch, just like you did at the beginning of your pattern. So for me that was 17 rows, so I make 17 rows of 1 stitch in every stitch on this side as well. When you're done making your rows, and maybe you need more rows because you have a bigger size than I, or you need less rows, then make the same amount of rows that you did on this side. Make them on this side as well. Then bind off, cut your yarn, and make exactly the same piece once again, but then without the decreases and the increases. So just make all your rows, making 1 stitch in every stitch, and skip this part, so the back part will be straight on the top without the little V. If you did that, then you can cut your yarn, then you can bind off and cut your yarn, and then we start with the sleeves. So finish this part, then start your back piece exactly the same as this one, but then without the decreases and increases. So 1 stitch in every stitch across. Make the back part exactly the same rows as your front, so that is the same. For me that is 55 rows in total. So for me the back part has 55 rows as well. So keep continuing working on your front, then make your back part, and I'll meet you back to make the sleeves. I finished my front and my back part. I blocked my work, so I pinned it on a piece of foam, and then I sprayed it with some water and let it air dry, or you can steam it. When you steamed your work, you can take it off, and then we close the shoulder part. To know how far you need to close your shoulder part, you can put it over your head when closing it by a couple of stitch markers, then put it over your head and see if you have the width you want. And then you can sew the top on both sides, so with a tapestry needle and a piece of yarn, and do the same on the other side. So make sure this is the same as the other side. Then place it over your head again, and then measure how big you want your armhole. So I measured about 20 centimeters, so that is about 8 inches, and placed a stitch marker on that place. Then the next step is to make your sleeves. When you put your sweater on, so the body of your sweater, then you measure from the corner of your shoulder to the part where you want your sleeve to be. Measure that, write that number down, and then it's time to make your sleeve. We know the length, we know the width. The width is 2 times this part. So for me that is 20 centimeters, so I start with a width of 40 centimeters, about 16 inches. Let's make a sleeve. You can choose. I thought it was fun to play with some color in the sleeve part, but you can choose to make it all in one color or just use two colors. Make the stripes where you want, make them as wide or as small as you want. That is totally up to you. Just play with it and see what you like most. To start our sleeve, let me turn it. So I start my sleeve with a foundation half double crochet of 40 centimeters, and that was 53 stitches for me. So let's begin our sleeve. And if you don't want to start with a half double crochet foundation chain or foundation half double crochet, you can start with a normal chain and work a row of half double crochets on top, and then your start is the same. So I start with 53 stitches. So make a slip knot. And maybe you need more stitches or less stitches, just make it the size you need. So we start with a chain 3, yarn over, insert in the first chain, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3, just like we did in the beginning of the video. Make the amount of stitches you need for your sleeve. Write down what you do. So if you make 53 stitches like me, or you make more or less, write that number down so you know how many stitches you need for the other sleeve. Also, when you make your stripes, we work up the sleeve exactly the same as the body, but then we vary in colors. So we make color changes along the way. And we make decreases to make our sleeve smaller to the end. Where you place your decreases, you can eyeball it. So we need to go from 40 centimeters to 20. So we need to reduce half. So if you have 50 centimeters, then you need to go to 25. If you have 30 centimeters, you need to go to 15. So make your foundation half double crochet for the length you need, then chain 1, turn your work and work up your rows following the decreases in the pattern, or eyeball it and see how many. For example, you can, every 5 rows you make 1 row of decreases. You make 1 decrease in the row, so 1 decrease, or you make 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end. In the pattern I begin with 1 decrease in the half double crochet, 2 together at the beginning of the row, and in the end of the sleeve I decrease a little bit more, so I do 1 in the beginning and 1 in the end. So you can follow the pattern, you can follow my color changes, or you can eyeball it and see how it works up and adjust as you go. So work up your foundation half double crochet and then follow the pattern until you are at row 15, and then I'll show you how to make the decrease and the color change. So work up your foundation half double crochet until row 15, and you have 2 stitches left in row 15, and then I'll show you how to decrease and how to color change. So I'll meet you back when you're at row 15. I'm at the end of row 15, and in the last 2 stitches we make a half double crochet 2 together to decrease. Yarn over, insert in the stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over again, insert in the next stitch, pull up a loop. You now have 5 stitches on your 5 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops on your hook and finish your half double crochet 2 together. Now we make a color change. You can make the color changes wherever you want, but if you want to make it exactly as I did, then row 16 is a color change. So get your other color and pull through to make your chain 1. And then you can turn your work. You can also make another chain to secure your yarn, and then you can pull your tail end, and then your yarn is a little bit more secure. And then turn your work. If you make your stripes in 2 rows, so a forward and a backward row, then you can leave your red yarn attached, your base color. So, and that's also possible if you make 4 rows or 6, so it must be an even row, an even amount of rows. Then you can leave your yarn attached because you can drag it along the side. If you make an uneven amount of rows, then you cut your yarn and weave in the end, and you reattach when you want to start with the base color again. So this is how you make your color change, and then you can turn your work and work every stitch across. I work over my tail, so that is weaved in at the same time. Replace your stitch marker in the first stitch, and then you are good to go. So, and then just follow the pattern, working this way and back, and then switch to your base color again. And if you want to follow this pattern, then follow the instructions in the pattern, in the written pattern. So keep working until you have the length you need, minus 2 centimeters or half an inch. That is the space you need for your ribbing at the end. So keep on working until you have 2 centimeters or half an inch left from the desired length, and then I'll meet you back to show you how to make the ribbing. I finished my sleeve. I have 3 more rows left, and then I need to add the ribbing. It doesn't matter which pattern you've created for your sleeves, if you made it all in one color or made stripes. Remember that your last 3 rows and your ribbing are made in a smaller hook size. So this is a 5mm, and I switched to a 4 to make my last 3 rows and the ribbing. So for the next row, we make a half double crochet 2 together at the beginning and a half double crochet 2 together at the end. Then chain 1, turn your work, and do the same thing. So make half double crochet 2 together at the beginning and at the end, and then chain 1, turn your work, and do that one more last time. So the last 3 rows you make half double crochet 2 together at the beginning and 1 at the end. So we chain 1, turn our work, and then insert in the first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, insert in the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all loops on your hook, and now you've made your half double crochet 2 together to decrease at the beginning. Do the same at the end and repeat 2 more times, and then I'll meet you back to show you how to make the ribbing. I finished my 3 rows of decreases with the 4mm crochet hook, and by making decreases at the beginning and the end and picking a smaller hook, you see you decrease a lot. Now it's time to make the little border at the end. Chain 2 and turn your work. Now we start making front and back post double crochets. So we yarn over, we skip this first stitch because this chain 2 counts as our first stitch, and then we make a front post double crochet. So yarn over. You see here is the stitch, the second stitch, and instead of working in the stitch we are going around the post of the half double crochet. So you insert between the first half double crochet and the second from front to back, and then you see you're poking through, and then come back up with your hook between the second and the third post. So you don't insert in the stitches, but you go around the posts like this. So the half double crochet is in front of your hook. So that's the front post double crochet. Then yarn over, put up a loop, and then finish like a normal double crochet. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is your first front post, front post double crochet. The next is a back post. So we alternate front post, back post, front post, back post. For a back post, you do the same, but then in the opposite. So yarn over, and we finished our front post here. So in between the previous one and the next half double crochet, you need to insert your hook. So for a front post, we insert front to back. This is a back post, so then we insert back to front. So place your needle behind your work and bring it up between the previous and the next half double crochet. Then insert your hook in the next, so between the half double crochet you're working on and the next half double crochet in between, from front to back, put your hook through, and then you see the half double crochet is on the back of your needle, of your hook. And now finish like a normal half double crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. This is your back post double crochet. Next is a front post again, so yarn over, insert your hook front to back in between the previous half double crochet and the next, like this, and bring it up through the next hole. So your half double crochet is in front of your hook. Then yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next is a back post, so yarn over, bring your hook behind and bring it up between the previous half double crochet and the next, and front to back through the next hole. So your half double crochet is at the back of your hook. Then yarn over, pull up a loop, and finish your half double crochet. Next is the front post, so insert front to back, back to front, and your half double crochet is on the front, and then finish like a normal double crochet. Back post, front post. Repeat this all the way across until you are at the end. Then chain 2, turn your work, and do exactly the same the other way. So every front post gets a front post. So you see here the ones that are laying on top, that are the front posts, and the ones that are further in the back, that are the back posts. So every front post, so when you turn it around, you see here is a front post, and then a back post, a front post, a back post. This front post gets another front post, so you do the same stitch on the stitch. So this was a back post on this side, but a front post on the other side. So see which it is on the sides you're working on, and then make the same on top. Repeat this until you like the length of your cuff. I repeat it 3 times. So I have 3 rows in total. Then you can bind off and weave in your end, and then your sleeve is done. Make another one exactly the same, and then we start to put the piece together. When you have 2 sleeves, then you lay your work on the table, right side up, and attach your sleeves with stitch markers like you see in this photo. The middle part of the sleeve must be at the shoulder seam. To make sure your sides are the same, you can count your stitches at each side of your panels so they are the same amount of stitches. Then attach the sleeves to the body the way you used for the shoulder seams. I sewed them together with the mattress stitch, but you can also use slip stitches or single crochets, but then you need to work those on the inside of your sweater. Then fold your work in half, like the next photo. Close the side seams and the sleeves, and then bind off and weave in your ends. If your sweater is all in one piece, then we start making the neckline. When you closed all your sides and your sweater is all in one piece, make sure your outside is facing outside, so it is right side out, and then it's time to make the neckline, or to finish the neckline. So make a slip knot and start in the corner at the shoulder. Insert your hook on the 2 loops. Grab your slip knot, pull through, and chain 1. And now we make 1 round of single crochets all the way around. Try to make 2 single crochets in every stripe. So you have 2 rows of half double crochets. Make 1 single crochet in every row of half double crochet, if that makes any sense. I tried to show you, but it is a little bit difficult with all this fabric. Okay, so you see here is a row of single crochets or a row of half double crochets. So we make a single crochet in this space. Try to pick up always 2 loops on your hook, so your stitches will be nice. Then you see here is another row of half double crochet, so you insert under 2 loops. Like this. You can work over your tail if you like. You can leave it out, weave it in later, and single crochet. Go to the next row of half double crochets, pick up 2 loops, and if you think it is too tight, so your stitches gets too tight, so your work starts to pucker, I don't know if that's the right word, but pull together, then you can make extra single crochets every now and then to make sure your work is nice and flat. So eyeball it a little bit, place your stitches and single crochet all the way around. Pick up 2 loops on your hook and then it should look like this. So work your way around, and I'll meet you back when you are back at the beginning, and then I'll show you the final round to finish your sweater. So keep on working, and I'll meet you back in a bit. I've worked my way around. I needed on every side 2 single crochet extra. So every half double crochet row gets 1 single crochet, and I made 2 extra in every side. So the back, this side of the front, and this side of the front, so 6 extra single crochets. Maybe you need more, maybe you need less. Just eyeball it and see how it lays. If your work lays nice and flat, then it is correct. To finish in crab stitch, you can close your round with a slip stitch in the first stitch. So your round is complete, and then we make another round of single crochets, but for the crab stitch you work in the opposite direction. So instead of working in this direction, we work in the opposite direction. If you are left-handed, then you work the other way around. So we chain 1, and then instead of inserting in the first stitch, we go back with our hook, insert in that stitch, pick up both loops, then yarn over, pull up a loop, and finish like a normal single crochet. Go back, find the stitch before the stitch you've worked in, insert your hook under both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Jump to the next, insert your hook, front to back, pull up a loop, and finish your single crochet. Go to the stitch behind that one, insert, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. Go to the next, insert, pull up a loop, and pull through 2. You can choose to finish like you did for your sleeves, but that is totally up to you. So that is an option. I like this crab stitch as a finish, so keep working, making single crochets backwards to finish your crab stitches, and then when you're all the way around, close with a slip stitch in the first stitch, cut your yarn, bind off, and weave in all of your ends. Your sweater is all done. If you like this tutorial, give me a thumbs up, and if you aren't subscribed yet and you like what you see, please consider subscribing by hitting the red subscribe button. If you are already subscribed, thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!